Now, it's sort of interesting at the moment because the Chinese spy scandal has sparked a power grab in the centre of the Conservative government among Conservative ministers. There's Suella Braverman, who wants to be tough, and now Oliver Dowden wants to back her up, wants equally to be tough. And an article has just been written about Dowden, as indeed stuff was said about Suella Braverman this morning. And effectively, it's the same stuff. Dowden wants China to be put on the enhanced tier of the new National Security Act. That's an act which came in only in July, so it hasn't been tested. It's new, and we know what happens with new laws at the moment. They're basically fairly useless. This is a law that, on the one hand, repealed the old Official Secrets Acts of 1911, 1920, 1939, all those things which we read about in John le Carré, and at the same time put in place new offences tailored to the demands and the threats that face us in the 21st century. But it was only introduced in July. And as I say, putting China on this enhanced list, a list which won't be fully compiled until the end of next year, until actually we're probably into election time. This is also the proposal of Suella Braverman. But Rishi Sunak and the Chancellor both resist this urgency to label China as a threat. Both of them resist this. And as I say, the review isn't due until the end of next year. So trying to jump the gun is not about enhancing our security. It's about who is going to look tougher on the world stage. Who is going to look tougher? Who is going to be the person who is brandishing the sabre? And I think it's interesting that Oliver Dowden has clearly seen the lay of the land. I think Dowden and Suella Braverman, of course, wrong. Why do I think Dowden's wrong? Because I think automatically anything Suella Braverman does is likely to be suspect and needs to be examined carefully. The Prime Minister, meanwhile, has spoken to MPs, and he's explained that he understands that they're rightly appalled, and that the sanctity of this place, the sanctity of the House of Commons, the chamber, should be respected, and Parliament, the parliamentary estate, should be respected. And if China is to be included in the enhanced tier system, this is what he didn't go into, but this is what it would mean. It would mean that anybody who has any relationship, any trading relationship with China, would have to register that interest. And a failure to do so would be a crime and could result in 5 years in prison if you don't do it. That would mean thousands of individuals and companies around the UK are suddenly forced to register with the authorities, even if they know that there's a Chinese interest in their business, which they may not know. They may not fully appreciate it. Schools, organizations, small businesses already struggling because of the Brexit legislation. You know, there are so many small businesses which are almost giving up trading with Europe because it's just too complicated. And yet we hear the Farages and the Nadine Dorrises and all these people celebrating the wonders of this new Brexit age. I know from my own experience that when I have to deal with Europe, I'm going to be paying a huge amount of money on top for the import. And that's an amount of money I cannot anticipate. And my heart sinks every time I have a package arriving from the continent. Every time. Now, and of course it adds delays to the arrival. So, on the one hand, this is going to increase our bureaucracy. On the other hand, it's going to involve retaliation by Chinese companies, while our partners, the US, France, Germany, are already visiting Beijing, courting China for trade deals. Are we going to allow ideology to destroy what trade we can in fact effect? In other words, are we going to do the same sort of thing that we did with Brexit? More than that. Although we're told that Chris Chase, who is allegedly the person who was at the centre of this spying story, we're told through the law firm that he is using that he is definitely not a spy. Given what has been reported, it is vital that it is known that I am completely innocent, he has said. I have spent my career to date trying to educate others about the challenge and threats presented by the Chinese Communist Party. So, we don't even have all the facts. And we don't have a conviction. We have an arrest which took place in March. And we have a sudden announcement on Saturday, and a sudden rush as if this is something that's just happened and just been discovered. It's not. It's something, it's old hat. It's suddenly been dusted off and presented for some sort of political manoeuvres. By whom? By Oliver Dowden and Suella Braverman? Are we suggesting that? I don't know. I mean, who benefits? Cui bono? Suella Braverman. Exposing Reds under the beds. If she can't get the migrant problem right, maybe she feels that this is going to be a feather in her cap, a red feather, obviously. But the whole thing stinks, doesn't it? Doesn't it stink? It certainly smells pretty high to me from here. Or maybe that's the bread being baked. Who knows?